Hello friends, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever in the world you are. I'm out here for my morning therapy. This is my morning medicine. If I don't get exercise, my mind just ain't right. As many of you know, my wife is a doctor. She's a licensed practicing OB-GYN physician, has worked many years in Adventist hospitals. So she understands the abortion issue really well. And because of all the years of medical school and working these 24, 36-hour shifts, all her friends are doctors. All her friends are physicians, different hospitals, government, Adventist, non-Adventist. And so we're always going to the houses and spending time with other physicians. And we go to these conferences. When my wife goes to the conference, we have a little child, so I go as well and to babysit our child. And recently, one of her co-residents, who's also an Adventist, told my wife this story. She said she had has a really good friend who was a Catholic nun. Been a Catholic nun for many, many, many years. And she started studying the Bible, and she started showing more interest in getting to know what the Bible says on different topics, and eventually found her way to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, got Bible studies, recently baptized. So she joined the Adventist Church recently, and as soon as she joined, she immediately somehow found out about the problem of abortion within our church. And it just broke her heart. I mean, it was an awful experience. She called up her friend, the physician, and she said, "What is this? You people support killing children? You've done this all these years? This is awful." She said, "I think I've made a terrible decision. I don't understand why you guys support this. How can you keep the Sabbath but support killing children? This is awful." And because this happened recently, the consultant, who doesn't really know much about our history, most Adventists outside North America know nothing about our history or our teaching the last 50 years. That's true, especially even in North America. Many people just have no idea. And so this is new to everyone over here. So this was new, but she looked it up and she said, "Well, we just got a brand new position, and we were told by our church leaders, Ted Wilson, Mark Finley, D'Souza, and all these leaders said, it's going to be biblical. We're going to have a brand new biblical position. It's going to be pro-life. We're going to protect children, da-da-da-da-da." So they've been waiting for this protocol. And now this protocol has just come out recently, within the last few weeks or month or so. And the Adventist Church, GC, has just slapped everyone in the face by publishing another position openly, brashly, unashamedly supporting the murder of children for mental health reasons. Now, I have a question for those of you watching this video. I have a question for you. Do you think Mark Finley is going to come explain to this Catholic nun why we support abortion? Is he going to give her biblical reasons? Of course not. What about Ted Wilson? He stood there and told the whole church, "This is biblical, it's biblical, it's biblical, just accept it, it's biblical." If Ted Wilson finds out about this nun, is he going to come tell her? No. We Adventists will do everything in the world to get someone to join our church. We will not tell you what we believe on abortion. We will not explain to you. But once you join, if you find out and you want to leave or hurt your feelings, they won't do anything. They won't say a single word. This makes me furious. This makes me so angry. Here's this woman, a nun. She has left everything in her life. She's committed everything that she has to support God according to her own understanding. She's living in a church as a nun for all these years, and she has just recently abandoned everything she's ever believed. She's abandoned all her community. She's abandoned her church. She's left everything to become a Seventh-day Adventist. And now our church openly smacks this woman in the face by telling her, "We have a position. It's biblical. It's biblical. We're the commandment. Don't dance. Don't drink. Don't wear jewelry. Blah, blah, blah. Don't eat cheese. Blah, blah, blah. But support the murder of children as their act of religious liberty." This is absolutely insane. This is completely insane. And what's worse, this has been going on for 50 years. This didn't just happen 50 days ago. This isn't 5 days old. The Adventist Church, our church, your church has been lying about this for 50 years. How many other nuns? How many other evangelicals? How many other Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses? How many other Hindus, Buddhists, and Muslims? How many other people out there would have joined our church that have not? How many people would have joined if God could have blessed us with a greater ability to evangelize if we hadn't been supporting this awful, horrendous sin? I mean, this is murder. But there is good news. There's a little bit of good news. When this horrible sin was brought into our church in 1970, there was no internet. No one knew what was going on. He just kind of he trusted leaders. We should be able to trust church leaders to tell us the truth. If you can't trust your own leaders in your own church, in the Seventh-day Adventist church, then who can you trust? These people have lied to us for 50 years. We got good news though. 1970, 1971, no internet, no one really knew what was going on. They deliberately kept it a secret until the mid-1980s. Catholics and evangelicals found out, and they're like, these crazy Adventists, they went and protested in front of our institutions and said, you murderers, you tell us to keep the commandments, you support and practice murder. Of course, that got into the Washington Post. Church began to find out. The issue got re-raised in the, I got to start running mosquitoes. It got raised in the 1980s, and then 1992, they brought in this new position. And since 1992, all these church leaders have told us, it's biblical, it's biblical, it's biblical, it's never going to change. 2016, 2017, this issue got really agitated. How did that happen? It really got agitated, and so we got this new position in 2019. And they said, the new position, they said, we're going to define everything, we're going to explain it with a new protocol. So everyone who's been following this issue, so many mosquitoes, everyone who follows this issue, like me, like you, we've been waiting for this protocol, and they just now published it within the last, I don't know, a few days ago, a few weeks, probably within the last month or so. They sure did not announce it, and you know the reason why. But there's an important lesson to learn from this. There's something that's really important. In the English language, I know many of you who watch my video, you don't speak American English. I get it. There's this phrase called, you strike while the iron is hot. That it's easy to mold and shape metal when it's red hot. Once that metal cools down, you can't move the metal anymore. You can't bend steel when it's cold. If it's red hot, it's easy. You can, with one hand, with a pair of pliers, you can turn a piece of metal. But it has to be red hot. Right now, the situation is red hot. They just published this. Now is the time to say something. Now is the time to do something. It's like concrete. If you ever work with concrete, when you mix concrete and you pour fresh concrete, it's wet. It's like Jello. It's a liquid. You can manipulate concrete with your finger when it's wet. But the moment that concrete hardens, it's over. You can't break that with a sledgehammer. You have to take out a sledgehammer to smash it over and over, hopefully that it will break. Right now, this issue of abortion in our church is wet concrete. It's white hot, red, molten metal. If you've never said anything before, now is the time to say something. The reason this issue has not changed in 50 years is, number one, people know almost nothing. And many people who know did or said nothing because they felt it couldn't change. Several years ago, people told me, Andrew, the church is never going to change. It's never going to change our position. You're wasting your time with those videos. And now look, 2019, brand new position. Agitation works. Agitation works. Now we have the advantage. To you watching this video, you have the advantage. Because the concrete is dripping wet. They just published this position. If you care about Christ, if you care about this church, even if you're not an Adventist, if you're a Catholic or evangelical or whoever you are, if you want to see the church stop supporting murder, if you have friends or family who are Adventists, you want them to see to get out of this sin, pick up the phone. Call the GC, ask to speak to the president's office. Leave a message there, talk to the secretary. Send emails, send letters. I've been doing this. I've written over 1,100 letters. I've written so many letters of protest to church leadership. And I know this for a fact, I explained this in other videos, that people, pro-abortion defenders within the GC, told the mailroom to block my letters. So I can't send letters anymore. I've already sent over 1,100, but you can. Right now, July 2020, August 2020, September 2020, should be a campaign of rage. You should be picking up the phone, sending letters, sending emails. You should be agitating this issue at the top of your lungs because the concrete is wet. If you allow it to settle, if you allow it to harden without saying something, it's going to be almost impossible in the future. You have to take advantage. Right now, the metal is white hot, red hot, ready to bend. You've got to do something right now. You cannot allow the health ministries and these crazy homicidal psychopaths in North American leadership dictate to the church that we're going to continue to support it. And you should be terribly offended because they didn't even try to hide it. They came out and said, yeah, murdering children for a mother, page 3, paragraph 4, you can see it right here. Murdering a child for a mother's, quote, mental health. This is therapeutic abortion. Page 4 says right there, in our therapeutic abortion within our own church institutions. So right now, these leaders in our church, these homicidal psychopaths, not all of them, there are many godly people. I believe the church is God's church. We have many godly people, but there is a contingent of people. And right now they are smacking you in the face. They're smacking the whole church in the face. And they believe that you're not going to do anything. They believe in their mind that you watching this video, you're just going to sit down, roll over and shut up. You're just going to say, oh yeah, Andrew made another good video, but there's nothing we can do. That's a lie. Don't expect God to do some great miracle when you're not doing what you can do right in front of you. Every single last one of you, if you can afford to watch the internet, send an email. I don't want to hear excuses. No excuses. Pick up a piece of paper and a pencil and write the church leaders. Get a crayon. Don't write some big old fancy letter. Just take a crayon and write in big letters, stop supporting abortion, and send it. They'll read that. I mean, stand out, do something. If I can fly from the Philippines all the way to Silver Spring, Maryland, and stand there by myself protesting at the annual council, if I can do all that being a layperson, how much more can you do? My friends, my brothers and sisters, I'm appealing to you right now. This situation is white hot right now. The concrete is wet. Do not wait for it to harden. Pick up your phone, write an email, and start agitating this issue. Contact every church leader you know and demand that they explain this. Now, many are not going to respond. Don't forget about their response. Do what you can do. When we do what we can do, we can trust God to make up the difference. We just leave the consequences with him. Something to think about. If this has just broken the heart, just ruined this poor woman's heart, who's committed her whole life to the Catholic Church, and she's been lied to. If it breaks her heart, how much do you think it breaks the heart of Christ? Does Christ have anyone in the Adventist church that's actually going to say anything? Or are you just going to watch this video and say, yeah, good video. Make another video for the future. Keep telling the truth. You got to say something. You can't just sit there. Oh, may God bless your efforts, every last one of them. Peace.